obviously the winery. When we pick, everything gets picked by hand. We go through each vineyard block 2 or 3 or sometimes even 4 times to get the stuff that's ripe, then leave the rest for another week, come back a week later. So we'll usually end up with something like 90 or 100 different lots in the cellar between different varieties and different pickings and different vineyard blocks. We ferment them all separately and keep them separate until the spring after harvest, at which point we start making sense out of what we've got and putting them together into the different blends and single varietals that we make. All the fermentations are done with native yeasts, and we really just try to keep our hands off of things until we get to the blending process, when we're going to start to assert some control. The harvest usually takes a little more than 2 months between beginning and end, just because there's such a range between when you harvest the early things like Viognier and Syrah and when you finish up with Mourvèdre at the end. So we're usually starting the beginning of September and we're finishing maybe the second week of November. The whites, after they're picked, they come in, they get weighed. I don't know where our scale went. It's usually right over there, big commercial scale. They get weighed and then they get dumped straight into a press and get pressed whole clusters and then pumped into either barrels or tanks to ferment. The reds come in, get destemmed. We don't crush them, we just get destemmed. So there's a lot of whole berries mixed in with the juice and the crushed berries. And then those go into either open-top fermenters if they're an oxidation-prone variety like Grenache or Counoise, or closed-top fermenters if they're oxidation-prone, or open-top fermenters if they're something like Syrah that's prone to reduction. Mourvèdre goes into whatever tank is open because it just doesn't care. It's so stable in the cellar that put it anywhere you want. And then we'll press off the reds after anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks when they get to the level of extraction that we want. We don't usually allow them to go all the way dry still on the skins, because we find that it makes the resulting wines too tannic. So at this stage, we're at the blending stage. We made our final decisions last week on what was going to go into the different whites from 2009. The reds from 2009 are still mostly finishing up malolactic. So there's a lot of those that aren't at a tasteable point yet. And in fact, the whites even took a little longer than we thought they were going to. We first addressed the whites thinking we were going to make the decisions for the blending about a month ago, and came to such wildly different conclusions from one another that we decided that they weren't ready. There were 4 of us there, and we all ended up liking something very different and decided, okay, this means that it's not ready yet. So came back again last week and things were better.